Good morning, world. Welcome into the DLLS Cowboys Emergency Pod. Logan Wilson. Look at that. That looks like a linebacker, doesn't it? Logan Wilson of the Cincinnati Bengals is bound for the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are trading a seventh-round pick for the Cincinnati Bengals linebacker, and we welcome you in because when things go down with your Dallas Cowboys, the DLLS Cowboys podcast, we got you covered. Wherever you listen, you can find us. And on YouTube, of course, at youtube.com/DLLS_sports. What's up, Jesse Holly? Good morning to you.
Good morning, my good brother. Good morning, good morning, good morning. The Cowboys sign a guy that they call Cowboy. It's only right. It's only fitting that the Cowboys bring in a guy that is nicknamed Cowboy.
That is nice. That is nice. And we'll see if the Cowboys are done, as the trade deadline is today at 3 o'clock our time. I believe it's 4 o'clock Eastern. We'll see if the Cowboys are done. And I do believe they may not be done. I do believe that there's another name that is out in the ether. But as far as Logan Wilson goes, Jesse Holly, do you have an immediate reaction or thought to the Cowboys giving up a seventh-round pick for a middle linebacker?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I like to call it a here man damn. It's the tallest short person. This Cowboys team defensively is not good. And you add a player in Logan Wilson from a team that is just as bad, maybe even worse than your defense, who couldn't get on the field because they decided to go with younger talent over the veteran guy. So he goes from bad to worse, or from worse to bad, or whatever you want to consider it. And this is the thing. I know it's too early to be a hater, but the bar has been set so extremely low for the Cowboys defensively that everyone's going to try to justify that. Well, he's better than Kenneth Murray or whatever other linebacker that you have. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't make you a good player. And then on the top part of that is a lot of times when guys have a bunch of tackles. I remember Jalen Smith was here. He led the team in tackles, led the league in tackles, and that was on one of the worst defenses the Cowboys have had as well. So, just because the guy has a lot of tackles, that doesn't mean that that's a good thing for specific players, especially when their defense is as bad as the worst defense in the league. So a guy's killing a lot of tackles, and it isn't helping this defense become better. So, but we'll see. We'll give Logan an opportunity to come and show itself of being, I guess better than what they currently have, and try somehow, some way to make this defense somewhat respectable. I hope if Jerry Jones is not finished today, that he's going to get some defensive linemen that are going to leave Logan Wilson. That'll help him be a little bit more freer to make tackles at or behind the line of scrimmage and not 7 yards down the field.
Now we'll go order of operations of the third face that you saw pop up, the second greatest beat writer in the history of the Dallas Cowboys, Mr. Ali Jawad, very popular with the ladies on our pod as well. Ali, immediate reaction.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jerry promised a trade yesterday, and this is one of the moves he promised or he made. And to Jesse's point, you certainly hope he adds more help, especially up on the defensive line, to help out a player like Logan Wilson. The bar is not very high, though. He is obviously their best they have right now, just coming in. But again, the bar is not very high there. I will say, you do bring him in knowing he still has about 2 years left on his deal, so the cap numbers won't be high. And I think part of the point was to get a guy that can come in and not be a rental piece. Obviously, you want a guy that can come in and contribute for the next few years. The only concern, though, is he's jumping from one bad defense to another, and he was benched in favor of, I believe it was for a rookie. And so, because of that, you kind of wonder, does he still have enough left in the tank to at least contribute for the rest of the season and future years as well? We'll kind of dig more into that and see what the film says. But you gave up a 6th-round pick, so that makes it more favorable. And then that's the reason why I lean towards more. I do like it because you don't have to give up much for a guy that can come in and help you out. But yeah, again, like Jesse said, let's hope they continue to make some more moves to continue to at least help out, because after what we saw last night, this defense needs help from top to bottom.
Now let's swing it over to the greatest beat writer in the history of the Cowboys. Now, Clarence, I went to Ali first because his face had been on screen for a while. I saw the look on your face when I went to him, okay? Clarence Hill, the greatest beat writer in the history of the Cowboys, your reaction to the Logan Wilson trade.
Cowboys, desperate for defensive help, go to a team for help a defense that may be as bad or worse than the Cowboys? I mean, does a homeless person go to another homeless person for food?
Yes, they do.
I'm just, only the Cowboys will go to a team that's bad or worse on defense, a guy who's not playing for them to help them on defense. That make sense, but yeah, Jerry promised to trade. Of course, he waffled last night because he didn't want to give up the secrets of the trade because we're in a competitive situation. But they gave him a 7th round pick. This trade was done yesterday. What you told us at the Stephen A. Smith show was done yesterday. They were not backing out of the trade. He has 2 years left in the deal. He's a young player. Certainly they weren't backing out of the deal. It's not just about this year. It's about the coming years. He's a guy that can help them, I suppose. But that's how bad they are at linebacker. They swung and missed with Jack Sanborn and K9, Kenneth Murray, playing out of position, having to play middle linebacker with Sanborn on injury reserve. But it's just a huge disappointment that this is all you're getting. You can't talk about helping this team. And certainly we heard Jerry talk last week that the linebacker, he identified linebacker play as the biggest problem with the defense. And so you knew they were going to do something with the linebacker play, even though they knew DeMarvin and Overshawn is coming back. But at this point, is it too little too late? I mean, you had a chance to really save your season, do something with your season, make this move mean something if you win the last 2 weeks, and to lose by double-digit scores the last 2 weeks. I mean, for who, for what?
Shout out to Blessed Man who said, y'all did an emergency pod for this. Let me tell you a secret. We'll do an emergency. If there is Cowboy news, we're doing an emergency pod.
And you're here.
And you're here because you are interested. Now, I'm going to tell you something, because Ali said one thing, Clarence said one thing, and so I have 2 things, one for each of you. Ali said we'll have to dive into the film. Woke up early this morning and did it. I've watched Logan Wilson.
There you go.
2, Clarence said if this is it, I don't believe it is, just based on a little rumble. There's a little rumble. I don't believe they're done, but I also believe the next thing that they do is not going to be a big deal either, and it's going to fit very well with what they normally do. But here's what I'm going to say about Logan Wilson. Jesse, you didn't wake up being a hater. We love your version of hating, okay? We need it. I like your hating, but I'll tell you this. I think if you remove yourself from this team is bad, this defense is awful, nothing you could do right this second is going to fix it. If you remove yourself from that and you say the Dallas Cowboys have traded a 7th round pick for Logan Wilson, what does that mean? I would say it means the Cowboys are about to get better middle linebacker play. Is it going to change the world? No. Is it going to fix the defense? No. Is your goal to get better and get guys who you do have cost control, but you could cut them if you wanted to, that don't stop you from adding somebody who is better, but does help you today and possibly for the next couple of years? I have no complaints about this trade, and I think it fits. I think he's a better player than Kenneth Murray, and I think you have control, but you also have control on a guy that is very cuttable. I think it just makes sense across the board.
My only problem, Jeff, and feel free to please push back on this if you like.
I'll tear you up.
Is the Cowboys don't do that. They don't see a situation and go, well, this guy's not properly working out for us, but we have him for 2 more years under control. We're not cutting bait. We're going to just stick around and keep him around for a while. And that limits them from doing what's right for the team. They just keep saying, well, he's here. We have him under contract. We'll kind of just hope this thing works out for the next 2 years instead of saying, you know what, this thing isn't working out. We're cutting bait and we're just going on to the next thing. That's my biggest issue is that, you're not bringing in a player that significantly changes your defense, that is a significant upgrade from what you already have. And you come from not you, Jeff, but the Cowboys come from
What do you mean, you people?
You people, the Cowboys come from a place where they're just like, yeah, we just keep holding on to guys. Like, Madi should have been gone a year ago. Guys like, you should have cut bait with Madi. You should cut bait with Schoonmaker. You should cut bait with so many different players on this team that you just keep here as some sort of placeholder, I guess, and it almost limits you from saying, let's go out somewhere else and keep throwing things at these particular positions. And that's what the good football teams do. The good football teams look at the situation and go, sorry, dude, you're not quite working out for us. We're going to let you go so that we can have this spot for someone else. Like, that's what the good football teams go. So, like, saying that he's under control for 2 more years, and I hope for everyone's sake, for making this team better sake, that Logan Wilson is far better than we could ever imagine. And he is a 10 times upgrade in what we thought. And a new change of scenery was all that he needed to unlock this superpower that he is. But reality says it probably won't be that, maybe somewhere in between that. But the Cowboys won't move on if this thing doesn't work out. And that's the part that maybe, if there's a level of frustration for me, is that they're going to hold on to this thing for as long as they possibly can, just to justify Jonathan Mingo type stuff, just to justify that we traded and we gave up assets and this was supposed to be an upgrade to what we had. And they don't want to say, they don't want to say uncle, and we're wrong, we're beat, we this is not working, and let it go. That's where I have an issue.
I want to jump in. I want to jump in real quick, and I think at the core you're right. I think the difference is the devil in the details when how you brought in Mingo, but sticking with Mosley and sticking with Schoonmaker, they were draft picks. Those were true investments, and so they have a hard time moving on from true investments. Guys that they scouted and brought it in the draft. I think it's different when it's a guy like this who they basically invested a 7th round pick in. I know you brought up Mingo, and I mean it's just a matter of time for Mingo getting him off. He was on injured reserve, and we'll see what holds for the rest of the day with that receiver core position. But I think that this is a guy they can move on from. You look at what they've done at linebacker, even going back to last year with Kendricks, a lot of 1-year deals. Certainly, Sam Burns 1-year deal, and Murray's essentially a 1-year deal. He does improve what they've had in linebacker, middle linebacker over the last couple of years.
A little bit.
A little
At
bit.
the expectation, I'm not saying that you got yourself a Pro Bowler. I'm saying
No, he's with the
you got
Bengals.
a little better.
He with the Bengals. The Bengals defense has been bad for years. This is not the first time he's been the best player on a bad defense, not the best player, a productive player on a bad defense since his rookie year.
Captain Creature in the super chat. He just said Super Bowl, which we sure appreciate. Look, we got a whole hour to talk about this stuff, so we will see you guys in a little over an hour on the DLLS Sports YouTube channel for the DLLS Cowboys podcast. Captain Creature also said, hold that water. That's what I'm talking about. All right, we'll see you guys in about an hour. We'll see you. DLLS Cowboys podcast, wherever you listen, you can find it. And, of course, on the DLLS Sports YouTube channel. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through, so be cool to everybody. We love you. Be easy. See you soon.
Eliminate the contingencies.
We all silly like the mayor.